So the topic of my talk is how UPS and FedEx dimensional weight works, and there is a lot of confusion in this subject, so I decided to do a video about it. So I also should mention that in this discussion we will consider shipments originating in the United States. So in general, if we write equation for the shipping charge, shipping charge is actually a function of the actual weight of the package, but in general it's not only a function of actual weight but also function of dimensional weight. Okay, and it's important that it's function of dimensional weight. Let's assume that shipping charge would be only a function of actual weight. In this case, let's say FedEx want to parallelize the work of UPS. In this case, FedEx would just take many large empty boxes and ship them by UPS 3-day select, like from all different locations, UPS locations. And in this case, within 3 days, the work of UPS will be parallelized. So that's why dimensional weight is important when somebody try to ship a package which is light, but let's say light but very big. So if many packages like this are shipped, then the work of UPS or FedEx can be parallelized. So it's actually also possible to write shipping charge So actually shipping charge is a function of actual and dimensional weights. But also we can define what is called a billable weight. So if we use actual and dimensional weights and we define billable weight, then shipping charge will be just a function of this billable weight. And this function is, it's given in UPS tables. It depends where you ship the parcel and which UPS or FedEx method you use. So what I would like to do now is, so basically if we know billable weight, we use just UPS or FedEx tables and we can determine the shipping charge. So what right now I want to concentrate on, therefore, is how to determine billable weight. And so let's start a discussion about billable weight. So in most cases, billable weight is just equal to the actual weight. In most cases. However, for big or lightweight packages, in other words, when we have a large ratio of volume or size divided by actual weight, so if this ratio of volume to the actual weight of the package is large, then billable weight in this case billable weight may not be equal to the actual weight. and it's actually the correct term to use here is that billable weight can be larger than the actual weight. Okay, so to establish a relationship between billable weight and actual weight, we have to introduce dimensional weight. So in other words, let me use blue ink. In other words, billable weight is a function, let me call it F1, is a function of actual weight is a function of actual and dimensional weight. So let me call this F2. Okay, so how can we introduce dimensional weight? How to determine it? So let's say we have our package, we have our box. So okay, so we have our box. Let's say the size of the box is 8 inches by 10 inches by 12 inches. So when we measure the size of the box and we find the largest side, so here it's clearly 12 inches is the largest size, or largest side. We call this larger size is length. We call it length. So this would be length, this would be width, and this would be height. So length is the largest one. Okay, so and well, it's of course volume can be easily found. Volume is just length times width times height. So if we measure length, width and height in inches, then volume will be measured in cubic inches. And also, according to UPS, I'm not sure about FedEx, but I think it's the same rule. According to the rules, these sizes L, W and H, they should be rounded to the nearest whole inch. So what it means is that if we, let's say we measure we measure length and we find that it's 13.2 inches, then we should round it to 13. Now if we measure the length of the other package and we find it to be, let's say, 14.6, in this case it should be rounded to 15. So that's a general idea how rounding works. So now let's write equation for dimensional weight. So now let's write equation for dimensional weight. So dimensional weight is determined in pounds, and it's defined according to the following equation. So dimensional weight, which is determined in pounds, is equal to the volume of the package determined in cubic inches divided by 194. So So what it means is that we find the volume of the box, and we find this quantity in cubic inches, so it will be some number. Then we divided it by 194, and in this way we convert it to pounds, to dimensional weight in pounds. So now when billable weight can be larger than actual weight. So this is the case when it will happen. So if volume of the package is larger than 5184 cubic inches, and so both conditions should be, both inequalities should be satisfied, and dimensional weight is larger than actual weight. Okay, in this case, billable weight is not equal to the actual weight, but it is equal to dimensional weight. Okay, so now let me look at this equation. I find this inequality interesting. Volume larger than 5184 cubic inches. So what if I divide both sides of this inequality to divide by 194? So we can see that on the left hand side, I will obtain just dimensional weight. In pounds. And on the right hand side I will obtain uh, 26.72 pounds. And if I just round, because usually in shipping we round to the highest round number of pounds. So basically this inequality is essentially equivalent to dimensional weight is larger or equal to 27 pounds. So in my condition here, instead of this equation, inequality. I keep saying equation, it's inequality. So instead of this inequality, I can write this inequality. So let's draw a conclusion. Let's write. I find this way a little more elegant. So what we find is, if dimensional weight is more or equal to 27 pounds, and also more or equal than the actual weight, okay, then billable weight is not actually equal to the actual weight, but it's, in this case it will be equal to dimensional weight. Where of course dimensional weight in pounds is equal to volume in cubic inches divided by 194. So this is our first important equation. So it gives us condition. It tells us when billable weight will not be equal to the actual weight. So if this condition is true, both of these conditions are true, then billable weight will be equal to dimensional weight. Okay, so now let's consider the case of UPS FedEx Air shipments. Okay, so UPS FedEx Air shipments. In the case of air shipments, actually, there is no condition on 27 pounds. There is no condition that dimensional weight should be more or equal to 27 pounds. So, in the case of air shipments, what we have is so basically this equation is working for ground, like for most shipments, like ground shipments. But in the case of air shipments, we don't need this condition. If we determine dimensional weight like this, okay, and if we just see that it's more or equal than the actual weight, then it will be it will become billable weight. So we don't need this. We don't, there is no this threshold that dimensional weight has to be more or equal than 27 pounds. Okay, and it's I will explain a little later. The significance of it. So. So if I include air shipments in my equation or in my condition, then I can slightly modify this these equations. So what I can do is I can write it as follows now. If dimensional weight is more or equal to 27 pounds, or we have air shipment, so now only one of these conditions has to be true, and dimensional weight is more or equal to the actual weight. Okay, then billable weight is equal to dimensional weight where dimensional weight in pounds is equal to volume in cubic inches divided by 194. Okay, so if we take into account air shipments, then we arrive to more sophisticated condition like this. Okay, so now the last thing, I think it's the last thing I have to mention here is UPS FedEx international shipments. So And when I say international shipments, I also talk about shipments to Canada. And again, I would like to remind that we consider shipments originating in the United States. So in the case of international shipments, dimensional weight is determined slightly differently. So in the case of international shipments, dimensional weight in pounds is equal to volume in cubic inches divided by 166. So what we see here is that basically what this tells us is that if we divide by 166, it's a smaller number as compared to 194. So we will get a bigger dimensional weight. So basically, what it tells us is that for international shipments, shipping space is more valuable as compared to, just shipments within the United States. And also when we when for air shipments we no longer have this condition. It also means that for basically indicates that for air shipments space is also more valuable than as compared to ground shipment. So basically if we consider what we can have is for the same package we can have a situation like this, that billable weight is equal to actual weight. For shipments, let's say for ground shipments within USA, billable weight will be equal to the actual weight. But for the same package, billable weight is going to be equal to dimensional weight if it's international shipment or it's air shipment. Okay, so that's basically we are finished with this subject, and now I would like to talk a little about last subject, oversized packages or cartons. So or cartons. So okay, so first we have to understand what is oversized package. So to determine if package is oversized, one should do the following calculation. So again, let's remember our drawing of the box. And this box The largest side is called length. So we have to look at the following inequality. We should take length and add girth to it. So what is girth? Girth is basically, if I put width here and height, girth is basically double width plus double height. So in other words, it's just this perimeter. If we add all these sides here, this is called girth. So, and we add here, for this equation, we add length here. So if length plus girth is more than 130 inches, then the package is considered oversized. And so what are the consequences for the shipping charge of the package being oversized? So first consequence is that minimum billable weight for this kind of package is going to be 90 pounds. So basically, if we have this oversized package and its weight is below 90 pounds, let's say it has a weight of I don't know, dimensional or actual weight, let's say the largest of the two is 45 pounds. So if it's oversized, then we automatically go to the billable weight of 90 pounds. And second is that additional $45 surcharge is added to the shipping cost. So I checked this $45. It's right now this is the correct number on UPS website. When you see this video, it may change. So basically, if the package is oversized, first billable weight should be at least 90 pounds, and second is additional $45 is added to the shipping cost. However, you should be careful here, because there is a maximum limit on the length plus girth. So if so basically here we should stay below length plus girth should be below 165 inches. Because if a length plus girth goes about 165 inches, then I think it's no longer regular UPS. I think UPS freight has to be used or tracking company to handle this package. Okay guys, thank you for your attention, and I hope this video so I hope with the help of this video this subject become more clear.